following video, I am going to discuss and quote the comments and feedback we got from our audiences. We asked a range of people, including a mix of genders from school friends, parents, friends online through Facebook, friends of the same age, friends of older age groups at university, media students and non-media students, to obtain a range of valid, unbiased answers. From both negative and positive comments, we have been able to conclude an overall summary of what worked well in our film, what could be improved, and why our film was successful and how it was successful in reaching out to our viewers. To begin with, let's look at the comments made about our use of the film noir style. Loved the use of the black and white filter. The black and white works really well. It creates like a clash or a modern and dated style film. I'm glad we chose to convert it to black and white, as it seemed to have gone down well with our viewers as looking stylish and effective. Another said, really good use of conventions of film noir, for example the femme fatale. The music is very modern, which allows your film to mix old conventions of noir with modern day music, giving a neo-noir feel. Keeps strongly to typical conventions. I feel I can summarise positively that we've utilised and portrayed film noir conventions well, whilst not being too cliche, and our audience have reference to the visual look of our film, the characters and the sound too. Next, let's see what was said about our editing and our filming. I especially like the use of train doors opening as a text transition. It shows an advanced level of software abilities which is visible throughout. Loved the incorporated use of opening credits and the camera shots between the private investigator and the husband. The use of time-lapse to indicate that time has gone by is really effective. I think all these comments show that our audience have recognised our significant range of shot types in order to keep them attentive throughout, and the viewers have appreciated the lengthy editing process that we went through, and as a result it's paid off because it's been effective in constructing creative scenes that the audience have enjoyed and remembered. Focusing on the settings we used, here's what some people had to say. I liked the setting of London, loved the use of setting, and the studio scenes work really well. One of our biggest assets to our film, I would say, is the location of London. I think this really differs our film from others and it suits our narrative very well. It pads out Blake's dream of living the businesswoman life in London, as well as being aspirational to our audience. It's also a very well-known city, and so it's extremely relatable for many of the viewers, as nearly all of them would recognise or been at King Cross Station at some point in their lives. One of the key things I concluded from collecting together the audience feedback is how we managed to keep the attention of our viewers. For example, the following comments. Easy to follow. This was so good and I was interested the whole time. The camera shots were done so well and probably made the film. The storyline is really easy to follow and is very creative with different identities and how they're portrayed throughout the film. Really entertaining. You wanted to find out what would happen next. From this, I believe that we did really well to keep our audience's attention throughout. Many of them comment on how the narrative was easy to follow and thus helps them stay interested. This could be seen as negative too though, as film noir plots are conventionally convoluted and twisting. However, as the specification stated the film to be short at around 5 minutes, we had to keep it straightforward and I'm glad we did. Lastly, let's look at the negative comments, or I should say the constructive criticism we were given, made by our viewers.
The only bit was the gunshot at the end. There wasn't any blood, and
yeah,
I know it's quite hard.
That's a good point. Make it a bit more realistic.
Yeah, a bit more realistic.
Yeah.
Just sort of the ending really. I thought it was just sort of a big chase, and you weren't really sure what's going on. And the next thing you see her dead, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. So quite a sudden, abrupt ending sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was some bits were quite scripted. And you could probably tell that. But other than that, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
It all happened really fast.
Yeah.
In the last bit, that's the only thing I'd say. But
okay.
Overall, it was really.
Towards the end, it was really sudden. So maybe when Poppy was getting shot, maybe like slow it out a little bit more. Okay. But that's all I'd say.
From this, I can definitely conclude from our feedback that our ending was too sudden. In hindsight, we could maybe have extended the film by a minute or less to lengthen the process of the husband finding her, for example, via CCTV footage, and then the death at the end being much more slower and realistic. So instead of a gunshot, we could have had an abduction and sort of like left that on a cliffhanger, or we could have done a strangling or a smothering scene. We also would have ideally liked more time for our actors to learn their lines in order to lessen the blatancy that it's been scripted. These are all things that we can learn from in the future.
She's betrayed me! Where is she?
And finally, on the other hand, let's look at what was most favoured in our film, as this shows us what worked best and what was most effective. I really liked the reflection of the woman in the water. This was also one of our favourite shots, and we're glad it came out so clear and effective. I like the close-up shot of the private investigator's lips. This is unusual, as the three of us really disliked this shot, but we made the mistake of not overshooting this scene enough, so it was the only shot we had with the audio in, so we just had to use it. As one viewer has said that she likes it, and we've had no other negative feedback about that particular shot, maybe it's not quite as bad as we envisioned it to be. I love the shots you use, especially the one where your model's clothes change behind the pillar. This is also one of our favourite shots too. It was thought of on set in London. I'd really like to do a shot like this again in the future, if and when I create another short film, because it looks really clever and illusional.